All right, fifth graders, this is Mr. Combs, and I'm here to do Lesson 11 Problem Set Back Page Part 2. So I'm going to look at question number 5. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about what I can pull out from this problem. Colleen and Caroline each built a rectangle out of square tiles placed in 3 rows of 5. Colleen used tiles that measured 1 2/3 centimeters in length. Caroline used tiles that measured 3 1/3 centimeters in length. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to model this. I have Colleen and Caroline right here. As you can see that both of these rectangles, they both have 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, and 5 tiles in each row or 5 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, for Colleen, I know that each one of those individual tiles is 1 2/3 centimeters long. Okay, and each one of those tiles is also, for the width, is 1 2/3 centimeters long. Caroline, same thing. Each one of those tiles is 3 1/3 centimeters long. Okay, 3 1/3 centimeters long. So be sure you label that and represent that, and be sure you're including your units. First thing I'm going to do, to find the area, I know the length of one individual tile, but I don't know the length of the entire side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about doing 1 2/3. Okay, so that's 1 tile, and I'm going to multiply it by 5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that 1 2/3 into a fraction greater than 1. 1 times 3 gives me 3, plus those extra 2/3 gives me 5/3. And then I'm going to multiply it by 5 whole tiles, 5 over 1. 5 times 5 gives me 25. 3 times 1 gives me 3. Okay, so I know that that length is equal to 25/3. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing down here for my width. I have 1 2/3. All right. And I'm going to multiply that times 3 whole tiles. Okay. All right. I know that that 1 2/3 is going to be 5/3. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room. Okay. So that 1 2/3 is going to be 5/3 times 3 over 1. 5 times 3 gives me 15, and 3 times 1 gives me 3. So I know that my width is going to be equal to 15/3. All right, now I know that area is always going to be length times width. So I'm going to multiply 25/3 times 15/3. Alrighty. Okay. I do not know my 25s all the way up to 15, so I'm going to do standard algorithm over here on this left-hand side. I'm going to do 25 times 15. Okay, starting in my ones place, 5 times 5 gives me 5. 5 times 2 gives me 10. Okay. Just write that out just like that. Okay, 1 times 5, leave the 0. Since I'm starting in my tens place, 1 times 5 gives me 5. Okay, and then 2 times 1 gives me 2. All right. Now I'm just going to add this up. 5 plus 0, 0 plus 5. Okay, and then 1 plus 2 is going to give me 355. Oh. But I did catch a mistake I made. Be sure you are taking your time. When I did 5 times 5, I forgot to regroup my 2. Okay, so 5 times 2 plus 2 is going to give me 12, not 10. All right, so 2 plus 5 is going to be 7. So that's actually going to be 375. So I know that 25 times 15, that's why we always do math and pencil, so we can catch our mistakes and redo it. So 375 over 9. All right. Okay. So I personally do not know my 9s up to 375. So I am going to multiply or use division to figure out this as a mixed number. So I'm going to do 375 divided by 9. Okay. 9 can't go into 3, but 9 can go into 37. It's going to go into 37 4 times. Okay, 9 times 4 is going to give me 36. 7 minus 6 gives me 1. 3 minus 3 gives me 0. Drop that 5 all the way down to make 15. Okay, I'll scoot that up. I know that 9 goes into 15 one time. 9 times 1 gives me 9. Okay, can't take 9 away from 5. Regrouping, 15 minus 9 gives me 6. All right, and so now I know that I can rewrite this remainder as a fraction. So my remainder is going to be my numerator. Okay, and then the divisor, the number I'm dividing by, is going to be my denominator. Okay, so my answer for the total area for Colleen is going to be 41 6/9. So our area equals 41 6/9 centimeters. All right, okay, I'm going to circle that so I know. All right, and now we're going to go through the same process with Caroline. Okay, so I'm going to do 3 1/3 for my length times 5. All right, 3 times 3 gives me 9. Okay, plus that extra 1/3 is going to give me 10 thirds. Okay, times 5/1. Okay, 10 times 5 gives me 50. 3 times 1 gives me 3. Okay, so my length is going to be 50 thirds. All right, width down here, I already know that 3 1/3 is 10 thirds. All right, times 3/1. That's going to give me 30 thirds for my width. And now for area, I just need to take my length, 50 thirds, and multiply it times my width, 30 thirds. Okay, so 50 thirds times 30 thirds. Okay, I'm going to do my basic fact. First of all, I'm going to do 5 times 3. That's going to give me 15. I have 2 zeros, and I'm going to stick on the back to give me 1,500. 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. Okay, I could leave this answer like this, but I am going to turn that back into a mixed number. I'm going to erase my board. I'm going to do 1,500 divided by 9. Okay, all right, 9 can't go into 1, 9 can't go into 15, 9 goes into 15 one time. Can't take 9 away from 5, so we're regrouping. 15 minus 9 is going to give me 6. We're going to drop that all the way down. I know that 9 goes into 60 now. It's going to go in 6 times, and that's going to be 54. Okay, we're going to keep moving. All right, regrouping. 10 minus 4 gives me 6. 5 minus 5 gives me 0. I'm going to take that 0, drop it all the way down now. Okay, I'm thinking about how many times 9 goes into 60 again. I know that 9 goes into 60 6 times. Okay, 9 times 6 gives me 54. Same thing, we can't take 4 away from 0, so we're regrouping. 10 minus 4 gives me 6. All right, 5 minus 5 gives me 0. That 6 now is going to be my remainder. What we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to rewrite that remainder as a fraction. I know that my remainder will be my numerator, and then the number I'm dividing by is going to be my denominator. So it's going to be 166 6/9. Okay, 166 6/9 is going to be our area for Caroline. 166 6/9. Okay, so over here I have Colleen. She has the much smaller area of 41 6/9. Okay, and then over here I have Caroline, and she has a larger area of 166 6/9. Okay, that alligator is going to much prefer to eat Caroline's 166 versus 41 6/9. All right, now we're going to move down here to our perimeter problem. A square has a perimeter of 51 inches. What is the area of the square? Okay, I know that squares have 4 equal side lengths, and that perimeter is the distance around. So I'm going to divide 51 divided by 4. Okay, 4 goes into 5 one time. All right, 5 minus 4 is going to give me 1. All right, drop that 1 down. Now I'm thinking about how many times 4 goes into 11. It goes in 2 times. That's going to give me 8. 11 minus 8 gives me 3. And now we have that 3 as a remainder, so we're going to do the same thing we've been doing. We're going to rewrite that as a remainder. And 3 is going to be my numerator, 4 is going to be my denominator. So each one of these sides is going to be 12 and 3/4. 12 and 3/4. All right, okay. And now, finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply these together. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these numbers and I'm going to turn them into fractions greater than 1. I know 12 times 4, okay, is going to give me 48, plus that extra 3 is going to give me 51/4, okay? And we're going to multiply that by 51/4, okay? So over here, I'm going to do a little bit of math again on my whiteboard. Alrighty, we're doing 51 times 51 for our numerator. 1 times 1 gives me 1. 1 times 5 gives me 5. Leave the 0. We're going to regroup. 5 times 1 gives me 5. 5 times 5 gives me 25. Alright, and I'll actually show you guys that. So that's my word for my multiplication. We're adding it up. 1 plus 0 gives me 1. 5 plus 5 gives me 10. Regrouping that 1. 1 plus 5 gives me 6. And then that 2. 2,601. Okay? So our numerator for this is going to be 2,601 over 4 times 4, which is 16. We could leave that as our answer, but I'd like to actually know what that is in whole numbers. So I'm going to do 2,601 divided by 16. All right, I know that 16 can go into 26, so it'll go in one time. 26 minus 16, 6 minus 6 gives me 0. Okay, 2 minus 1 gives me 1. All right, I'm going to drop that all the way down to give me 100. Now I'm going to have to think about how many times 16 goes into 100. So I'm going to do 16 times 6. To just check over here, that's my estimation. 6 times 6 gives me 36. Regroup that 3. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 96. That's as close as I can get. 100 minus 96 now is going to give me, we're going to turn that into a 9, 10. Okay, that's going to give me 4. 9 minus 9 gives me 0. Okay, all right. I'm going to drop that 40. I'm going to drop that 1 down all the way to make 41. Okay, 16 is going to go into 41 2 times. That's going to give me 32. Regrouping, 11 minus 2 gives me 9. 3 minus 3 is going to give me 0. Okay, I'm going to rewrite that as a remainder of 9 over the number we're dividing by, 16. Okay, so my answer for this one is going to be 162 and 9/16. 162 and 9/16. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you have any questions, please pause the videos at any time or feel free to email your teachers.